ladies and gentlemen, it is time to kick off Phase 2 of the PPC here in 2020. Dolson and Kresnik to start things off. Kres, we're starting over in Europe today. Lots of changes. We had 6 open spots after relegations. The bottom 2 teams in each region dropped down, opening the door to 6 new teams, and somehow we ended up with 7 new teams here in the second phase of the PPC. Here's your schedule for this weekend. We'll start off with Intersteller versus mixalazeub. Kres, though, all that being said, lots of new faces here in the league.
Yeah, and all these talented amateurs that have been kind of competing during the first phase of the PPC, looking at those bottom teams saying, maybe I can do better. They grinded through the Paladins Central tournaments. Once relegations finally came, all of these teams proved that they can do better. There was 4 teams that played in the relegations. There was 3 slots available. The only PPC team that was down there playing, Rosvet, didn't make it. So that team that was kind of putting up these numbers against some of these other teams that stayed qualified, the 1 through 4, now that they're here, they knocked them out. Now we could see some great competition between all these kind of this fresh faces, this new blood against the people that have been playing since the start of the phase. And
I think important to look at Kresnik as well as we take a look at maps for this first set of the day. Stone Keep is where we'll head first overall. A big update here recently since the last time we've worked here in the PPC. I mean, there's so much to cover, though. But if you're starting to look towards picks and bans, maybe itemization, certain champions, strong, weak, I mean, is there anything that kind of jumps out, champs maybe that we won't see that we did in Phase 1, and maybe vice versa, champs we didn't see that maybe we'll start seeing a little bit more?
I would say Io definitely drops down priority a little bit, but she is competitively banned right now because of something with the hitbox on Luna desyncing, so we're not going to see her at all. I don't think we would have seen her anyway, though. Corvus and Genos, both so impactful right now, really didn't get affected by the changes in the patch. Corvus got better, and he's already going to be pretty dominant, but the off-tanks, I think, are going to soar up in priority. Hit scans are still going to be high priority as well, as you can see with Vivian being banned by mixalazeub on that side. The top picks and bans, I think, don't change too much, but the way you're going to see the draft fill out, I think Radiant Stars has a great impact on that.
And one of the, big focal points, I think, coming out of Phase 1 into Phase 2 was around Victor and Vivian. The lifesteal cards for those two tweaked down just a little bit. Vivian, not all that much change. What was it, 1% per level of that card?
1%.
So it is less, but not much less. Still brings enough power to the table that warrants a ban here, says mixalazeub. So she's gone first overall. Genos, though, first pick. Obviously, Kres still at a spot worth picking up first.
Yeah, the pocket supports are just in a fantastic place right now because they give a benefit that isn't as affected by Cauterize, Corvus giving the speed, and the lifesteal, that is affected slightly, but still helps you in those duels, win those fights. And Genos gives you damage boost. Even if you are in a dead zone, you're still going to be doing 15% more damage. So mixalazeub wanted to get something that's kind of unaffected by that damage. Get that Terminus, his Siphon. He only gets a benefit when you're doing more, get more charges, trade damage back, and pocket that Bomb King a little bit harder.
Bomb King was tweaked a little bit as well in the recent update. Where do you kind of see him? Obviously, he's still at a strong point. Does playstyle change really all that much change, or is it just sort of numbers tweaks on his end?
He's just in line with the other blasters now. He was already doing 50 more than them most of the time, so he's back in line with Drogos and Dredge in that place, and he's just going to be more on his comfortable maps now. He still has AoE around corner damage. He has a lot of CC that a lot of other characters don't have. So when you want that space control, when you say we're going to lock down this area, make it hard for you to push in and force you out if you try to push into it, that's where you're going to be picking Bomb King every single time.
Oh, Maldamba locked in as the healer here for mixalazeub. And remember, this is Stone Keep, so a strong draft, I think. You talk about space control. You got Terminus, BK, now Maldamba for some good splash healing. Now Atlas as well to top it all off. He had some damage changes around himself as well here in the recent update. Do you like the first 4 that mixalazeub has drafted for themselves?
I like them a lot for Stone Keep. I think Atlas has some great control. If you put up that stasis field in the side, they really can't go past it, but Interstellar, they're going to just choose to ignore it instead. I think it's going to depend a lot on how good the setbacks are from whoever will be playing the Atlas on mixalazeub. If he runs Deja Vu, sets back both flankers, maybe just gets the Ashe and a flanker, or even just the Ashe, their game plan, their movement cooldowns are just wasted, they're sent back, and then they can just say, hey, well, now we have a BK, and you have to get back in without your whirl, without your shoulder bash. So I think it can be great for control, but if Interstellar just get onto the objective and sit the Ashe there and they can't poke her out, then Interstellar could just win by holding that high ground area.
Well, they're going to draft what worked so well for Sanguine over in NA, and then in the phase, the sort of mid-phase, mid-season tournament as well. Sanguine, remember winning that with their triple DPS style, game in, game out. They just play it better than anyone else. So Genos, Ashe, Talus, Xin, Leon is a strong 5, I think, that Interstellar have drafted for themselves here. Then Strix as well, still going to rear his head into the pick phase here. Krez, is there one composition you're feeling a little bit stronger about, maybe specifically for Stone Keep?
I liked mixalazeub's at the start, but I don't know if I like the Strix finish. I think he might be a little too susceptible. They might have to leave a tank to babysit them, so if Interstellar can find that opening, take him down, then they can just win a 4v5, but if they protect the Strix enough, if they kind of hold and get a good setback on one of the flankers, take the advantageous fight, I think mixalazeub have a perfect comp for control on this map.
Interstellar as well, they're going to be bringing a lot of damage to the table. You get that Genos boost, Leon, a couple changes around her as well. A lot of fun, maybe, to see early on here which champions are going to sit where, what some of these changes impact, maybe itemization-wise. We'll have to wait and see. The PPC Phase 2 officially kicking off here. Stone Keep, Interstellar versus mixalazeub over here in Europe. So these two European teams looking to get themselves started. They want this is so important. Game 1, week 1, get this phase started on the right foot, especially in a region that is and will be as contested as we've seen from over in Europe. Leon, though, Kresnik, I think a good jumping off point going into this game. Where do you think she stands as a damage dealer in this current update?
I think she pairs great with Genos in particular. If you have a pocket support, having all your abilities count as weapon attacks gives her a bigger benefit than most. I just don't see her dueling super great into any of the tanks. She has to find someone isolated and take them down from there. But I think the star player, I mean, Enviel and Nauk are both fantastic, and them ending up in those duels, it could just end up being a skill matchup if they wait for that to run out. But aggression from the start from Interstellar, and they do find Nauk isolated, but with the first shot being connected, Mather kind of left alone and has to just let that Rune of Travel run out.
As Uber Spady on the BK looking to control some of the space in here on the backside. mixalazeub have the first little bit of percentage here built up for themselves. That's the setback onto Ashe to buy some space over here on the backside. Uber Spady finds first blood here in phase 2 of the PPC. Davazy, or not Davazy, I suppose, will charge up the shot. Down goes Enviel. And there's another great setback. This Atlas controlling space so well over on the high ground side, and that's going to give mixalazeub the early lead.
And that's how you have to play it. You have the Atlas pocket one of your DPS. He has great poke, so they can't really challenge him, especially with the damage around the corner. And Noak already, I think, doing a great job of stopping this Talus. If you're Strix and you hit the first quickscope, you can just keep him off you, but that Eminence forces him back, and they're kind of getting isolated and pinched here, but Mather just can't finish the kills.
Couple missed shots there from Nauk as well, but luckily Kiesel's able to turn around, help out his sniper. Nice shot there. Quick scope over onto the Xin. Final shot as well. Connects. Nauk maybe starting to find his footing a little bit here. 99% for mixalazeub, realizing they have a little bit of time to work back in onto the point. Going to slow things down here just for a moment. Down goes Snaze. No more point tank or tank in general for Interstellar. That's the dash right on through from Mather here. Overtime is on. Squishies have to get down. Xin up and over. Gets the overtime reset, but immediately set back. Now the dash on in from the Leon. This time around, Enlightenment will connect for some damage, but you can't shrug it all off. Overtime goes down, and mixalazeub grabs the first point of the phase.
Great play there by the end. I think maybe the Ashe had to leave just a little bit faster, getting stuck in front of those two tanks. You can't get out. That CC forced them in, and then fantastic play with Deja Vu on Atlas. There's been kind of a debate of what you want to use, but with the lower cooldowns, I think you're going to see a lot more value from this control playstyle that mixalazeub want to run. And already some aggression. They know they can take it forward with their two tanks. Losing that's going to make it a lot harder with the Talus ult, but they can just back up, use all their healing, and zoned out for now. They should be able to get out and potentially refight pretty quickly. They don't have as much mobility to chase them down as they think they do.
Yeah, Davazy dropped down his cooldowns. Usually the death sentence there for Atlas, depending on what type of situation you're in. Not going to slow down mixalazeub all that much, though. Pecha up and down onto the low ground, but immediately trade spots with Snaze, excuse me, up onto the high ground. That's the assert dominance, but immediately rewound back down onto the low ground. Dread Serpent into the church side. Doesn't really catch out all that much. Watch out for Davazy. He's got himself a double kill here. Enviel, Snaze, both down there. Payload continues its march with 1 minute and 15 seconds left.
You can see this even with the BK damage nerf. He's still going to do what he did before. He's poking people around corners, making you uncomfortable, unable to hold this area really effectively at all. Pair that with an Atlas with great poke damage and one of the strongest CCs in the game with setback. It's going to be hard for him to do it, but Spady's alone. He'll be drawing enough fire in main for him to do that. But again, around corners, damage nerf be damned. Uber Spady picks up 2.
That's a nice shot there from Uber Spady. This is the opening that mixalazeub may be looking for here. Rewind, Enviel, high ground. See you later, Cart. mixalazeub strikes quickly in succession here. They go up 2-0. Now you start to look, of course, at that ultimate economy going back into this next mid-fight. Big Exile's ready to go. King Bomb going to open up some space. Reanimate, Flashbang almost ready. And Dread Serpent will charge up quickly. Interstellar have some good utility on their side as well. That assert dominance being down, true power as well, even through time and space. A couple important pieces of the puzzle missing.
Point spawning in 15 seconds.
And even if they got some of them, I think they have the counter ultimate in Devosi. Now that Exile has been changed, you're CC immune during the cast, you're not slowed at all. If there's any CC ultimates they want to bring out, whether it be the Talus ult, whether it be Spite from the Xin, whether they do get that assert dominance charge back up, you can either set back the assert dominance or just use Exile. He won't get stun, banish anybody who wants to get the follow-up on that ultimate. Devosi just able to counteract whatever they want to do. No, resilience means they just get this keep side for free, and they're just going to keep this space controlled, and they're going to have to spend resources on Interstellar's side to be able to break this.
Davazy has been on an absolute tear so far this game. All of the setbacks connecting, the damage there as well. 7 streaks so far for the Atlas. It's going to be Snaze trying to shoulder bash through, but that's the second chance from Davazy. Rewinds himself back, but look at the point percentage, 81%. For mixalazeub already up to this point. Now the ultimates start to fly. King Bomb down to the low ground. Snaze catches the death. Flashbang kill. You don't see that often. Down goes Dawes. And it's 1 left remaining. And that's Enviel, who's going to have to slide to the side. mixalazeub in 6 minutes has found a 3-0 lead.
Worst part about that flashbang kill, Dave, I hope none of the devs are seeing that, because that might be a challenge in the next battle pass that I'm going to have to do in bot matches. And that might be a little tough, but mixalazeub are just on a tear with this area control. They can't push into this Atlas. They spend so many resources to get into him that the Terminus sits there for free. The one person actually trying to do damage to Term at all isn't going to get through that Siphon anytime soon, and they just end up waiting and waiting and waiting, and they only can make their move at 99%.
Well, that's exactly what you were concerned about, really, on Interstellar side. It's just way too much control from this mixalazeub team. High ground now. Davazy, Uber Spady playing right behind him. Kiesel is going to be ushering the cart forward down beneath that first archway, and really the final archway here. Look at Interstellar. They cannot step out of their base just at the moment. Snaze moves forward. True power looking for Uber Spady up onto the high ground. Dread Serpent peels for him. Rune of Travel taken back. It's Strix who has to duck around that corner. A couple final shots. That's all they need. Down goes Mather. Reanimate. Assert dominance. Exiled out of the sky. Down goes Snaze. And down goes Interstellar. mixalazeub in 4 straight points takes game number 1.
Great play at the end on that Exile. Sometimes you don't want to exile someone on the point, but if you're canceling invincibility to make them invincible for a little less time, I think that is absolutely worth it. Yeah, just having the foresight to do that, where normally you'd want to hold off. And the slow amount of deaths, other than Princess Pecha, they were kind of alone as Terminus on the point, but everybody else, as long as they held that area up top, the rest of Interstellar couldn't really do anything. This nerfed Talus, second top death on the team, maybe not able to really get in without the level of damage reduction and lifesteal that he used to have.
Yeah, at 5-4-1, I imagine there'll be a lot of absorbed damage there for Princess Pecha. 38,000, actually more from Davazy, surprisingly, and not really even all that close. Snaze on the opposite side took his fair share for Interstellar. I am curious, though, Krez, what your thoughts on this are. I mean, the triple DPS composition has torn through NA, and the rest, really, of the league in Phase 1 completely slaughtered here by what mixalazeub brought to the table. Do you think more map-dependent as far as, what compositions can kind of break the other goes, or do you think there are enough changes in this update that we're playing on now where that triple DPS composition isn't quite as foolproof as it once was?
I think it is a little map dependent, but I also think that it's just so hard to play into an Atlas specifically. There's a tier 2 team in North America named Michael that only play this really aggressive dive comp with Rom and Ruckus, and you know what they ban every single time? Atlas. They get rid of Atlas because of what he can do to that. One setback will literally ruin your entire game plan, and then you have to rethink it from the start. So then letting Atlas through, trying to play this Ashe double flanker Geno solo heal into that, I think that was the hardest thing for them to do from the start.
Yeah, and even, you know, a True Power would go in, try to connect onto the Bomb King. It was Davazy right there to either get the setback, get some safety for his backliner. Splitstone Quarry is what we've got for game number 2 here. So we've already seen one team extend out to that Strix. We were curious as how it would look, how things would come together there. Could potentially see some more of that range battle up on the high ground here, Krez, on Splitstone.
Yeah, you definitely expect it. And flankers too, vertical flankers to actually punish those backlines sitting on the high ground are also going to be at a premium here, I would say. Expect to see some Eevee and Jiraxis, I think, high prio. I think he was banned last game, so wouldn't expect to see that following up again. With mixalazeub also continuing to ban that Vivian. I think she might be one of the best DPSs this patch. She can struggle into really hardcore aggression, but if they have a comp that can protect her with Term Siphon, with Setback, with a Nando, with Aegis playing on top of her, it's just so hard to deal with long-range CC now being run in the kit over that extra damage.
Yeah, I wonder at one point what the cost is of maybe letting this Vivian through. You know, you got to be in the first pick slot, I think, if you're going to let her through and hope that second pick doesn't end up banning her out. Rom continues to be heavily banned here. Terminus now 50-50 on the pick ban priority, and the Genos as well. So we're going to see a little bit of what we maybe didn't see in game number 1 now, because Interstellar is going to take away a couple of those high priority picks. And Nara, one of the first bans here in phase 2 of the PPC, now getting her day in the sun in game number 2.
Kind of surprised to see her so high priority. I feel like out of the supports that are remaining, Corvus is left. He's still great, and you can get a pretty solid point tank experience by running Aegis. Nando right now has some ways to counter out the Inara. She's not able to do a lot of damage, but they want their priority. They know they can have a pocket healer for her, and Interstellar want to keep playing this aggressive style. Potentially Ruckus taken early on Androxus. A lot of high ground control, and mixalazeub maybe have to play a more quarry-centric style now, because they're not going to be able to sit on top and spam down to the point.
That's a lot of, I'm going to dive at you quickly and do some damage if you leave yourself too far open. Maldamba locked in for the second time. 100% pick rate, hey, 100% win rate, so flawless record for the healer here going into game 2. Xin, kind of the opposite. He has been picked 1 out of 1 games, hasn't won just yet, though. Where do you think Xin stands in the current DPS pool?
Apparently he's the worst with that 0% win rate, but I think he's a great counter flanker specifically. You can play him to lock down a side. The flankers really can't deal with him because he has so many defensive cooldowns. And when you want to go in, if you run Guillotine, you can just delete a tank from the game, get rid of him. Any execute is always going to be valuable. And especially into this Barrack too. His self-sustain can't outpace the damage coming in from the Guillotine. Lift him up, don't let him shield, don't let him dash. Even if without Guillotine, your team should be able to find that kill.
It's a Corvus locked in now for Interstellar. Again, I mean, it's kind of the echoed thought. Some changes around this Corvus in this most recent update. A lot of it around Entropic Breach, increased slow effectiveness around that ability. So do you think this is going to be an effective healing performance from Corvus where he currently stands?
I think it's hard for Corvus to not perform. Unless he goes out of his way to not heal, this Corvus is going to put out great numbers. As long as he's rotating his marks, healing the people that have them on to get that little bit of cooldown, spreading the heals across the whole team. He'll definitely keep up with the Damba and also be giving out the speed too, so a lot of value from Interstellar. As long as he has someone he can keep, as long as they have someone they can keep pocketing, probably in the Strix or the Barrack, with Ruckus Andro going into the back, they're going to be getting a lot of healing, whereas the people that are going deep on mixalazeub, they need to get line of sight from their Damba, and that he might not have the ability to do that for the whole game.
Well, he flip-flopped here. Mixalazeub has gone triple DPS. Interstellar on the opposite side is going to work with what worked against them in game number 1. Let's see if they tie this one up or Mixalazeub takes the 2-0 lead early here in phase 2 of the PPC. It is Splitstone Quarry. Mixalazeub, Interstellar over here in Europe doing battle to get themselves a win over in that standings column. We figured we would see a sniper battle or some sort of range battle up on the high ground. Another look at the Strix here, Kresnik up against the Leon. Some dive as well, though. You look at this Talus, didn't quite find maybe the value that Interstellar was hoping for in game number 1. Now he's going to flip sides from Mixalazeub and maybe get some value here.
I honestly think they might play him a little more controlling. Yeah, you can see him just running down to hold this side because he can't get onto that Strix, but now drops down for some reason to contest that Ruckus. That's not a winnable fight, and Snace is just all over the backline.
It's a nice double kill to start off this game for the Ruckus. Mather's going to move his way down as well. Quick scopes, but Dawes finds the final shot. Interstellar just now surpassing when mixalazeub was able to build off. First on into this game. First look at Androxus here in Phase 2 as well. We're going to expect big things from Interstellar as far as damage numbers go here into this game. mixalazeub in a difficult position here, having to fight their way back into that point, especially with a Barrack, and a Strix from the high ground, popping down some shots. Flash as well, finding some good mobility. In behind mixalazeub, plugging away some good shots. Davizy now on the Talus, back behind the wall he goes. Reversal, gonna soak up some good damage there. Davizy's gonna have to take the Rune of Travel right on back. Poking and prodding Kresnik really from both sides. No kills just yet on the retake.
Yeah, and I think this is still going fine for Interstellar, though, because they have perfect control as long as Nauk doesn't find that kill. For them, they had it, but they didn't commit to a kill fast enough, and it just let mixalazeub resettle. Point time climbing, they might have time to get respawns, but Barrack going on point against a Talus, he's not going to last very long, Dave.
Flashbang and Corvus ultimate soon to be ready as well. Interstellar might have to use them to retake in onto this point. Flashbang rings down Davizy, holding around the backside. Touch from Enfiel, but he's lost half of his HP in the meantime. Dawes is going to try to top off his point tank around the backside. Goes the Ruckus. Snades has found the first kill. Enfiel the second as well. The tank's getting it done for Interstellar here. Flash finds a shot onto Uber Spady, and down goes Pecha, and it looks like Interstellar have turned this one around and maybe gotten point number 1.
Yeah, this is, I think, Interstellar having, I'm going to call it an unanswered Strix. Is, I think, doing wonders for them, because mixalazeub want to play inside the quarry. They want to poke down at the point tank. They have this Talus literally just to shred the Barrack. He's even rushing Wrecker. But the Strix isn't letting them. To get to a point where Talus is doing decent damage, he has to walk into Mather's sightline. So Mather is just keeping them locked in, and they're just waiting and getting out-sustained by a Barrack on the point. A character who I think has been struggling with all the hit scans recently, but with 2 strong hit scans at his back, it's enough to keep him in control of the objective and climb that straight up.
Well, big for Interstellar to at least get a point on the board here. Enlightenment does connect for a kill, and then the slide on forward from Nauk will find the double kill. Now it's Pecha trying to keep Interstellar at bay here. Enfiel has traded back with a double kill of his own, though. This Barrack, maximum value so far in game number 2 of this set here in the PPC. Dread Serpent rings out elsewhere on the map. It's a whirl from Uber Spady off to the side. Dread Serpent down onto the cart here. Looks like we've reached our first choke point. Difficult for Interstellar to break this one, but instead mixalazeub Krez are going to back themselves off and take a fight on a different part of the map.
Interstellar having the verticality makes it a little bit easier to push into. I love that Entropic Breach. It would have trapped in Devosi, forced him to stay and go down. And now again, they have control of this high ground. They can go over and try to flank with the double dive that they have, but he's holding it. Unfortunately for them, Uber Spady finds the trade, and it might help them stabilize here on this defense.
10 streak for the Barrack. Ringing through here. Uber Spady is going to whirl his way down. Hopefully get rid of Snaze, but he does trade out so much health that Mather is able to find the final shot here. Important for mixalazeub to find these kills here, and we've reached that point. 45 or so seconds left by the time I'm done making the point. You don't want to spend all your ultimates on this defense if you don't have to. Interstellar could be the ones to swing first, but those mid-fights, you're going to need them to make a big difference. So we'll have to see which team swings first. Snaze makes his way around the right-hand side here. Up and over he goes. Could be a Hexifier if need be, but Mather has found an opening kill anyway. Seismic crash down. Finds absolutely nothing here. So it's mixalazeub on the defensive end using some ultimates, but they haven't found value for them. Payload contested, but so close to rolling its way in with 15 seconds left. Mathers finds the quick scope, and in it goes. Interstellar go up 2-0.
I feel like they're contesting almost the wrong places. They need to stop the people from coming in over the top, and holding mines isn't going to really keep that from happening. Ruckus and Andro can just find another way in. I don't feel like they're really controlling the map the way they need to, and when their characters go in deep, they can't get heals. Maldamba can only heal you from line of sight unless he throws a gourd across the entire map. So these flanks really can't go in that far, letting Mather do whatever he wants, and then they're trying to hold the space that Interstellar doesn't really need. mixalazeub, I think, really need to mix up their game plan, find another way in maybe that's not being watched. If Snaze and Flash want to get aggressive, send in Devosi and Ubers from Lava side and actually get on top of Mather and let this point fight maybe get a little bit more one-sided onto the favor of the Inara.
It's been a set of the tanks so far up to this point. Enfiel, no exception to that one. 11 streak, undying so far for the Barrack. 5-0-6, gonna get worse. As I say it, down he goes. Uber Spady has finally found a kill. onto the point tank. mixalazeub finding some opening kills here. Uberspady with a nice double. Spite 40% away, but the early trade's going to the blue side.
And I love that dive from Nauk at the very end there. Rough at the start of the last round because he didn't have anyone with him, but he followed up on all this space that Ubers and Devozy made, and that's when you can make that play, catch the flankers, and kind of ruin their game plan. Look at that, trying to touch his Snaze, but gets shredded immediately. They got a tank in, but Enviel has a lot of damage to live through, and he's not going to be able to make it.
Well, this one may be brought to you by Fast Cap, as mixalazeub is going to get themselves on the board here on Splitstone Quarry. And these are actually kind of shaky moments, I think, Krez, from Interstellar, and mixalazeub not going to push the advantage all that heavily, but they've already worked their way in, kind of that halfway point here on this cart, getting a kill onto Uberspady. Massive in the way of opening up a little advantage for yourselves. Look at that mobility, huh, from the Ruckus. Gets himself in, up, over, gets himself right back out. Off to the side he goes. I love kind of Ruckus in this state as far as movement goes. Davazy, unfortunately, is going to get gunned down by Enviel. And Interstellar have found the spot where they want to dig in their heels.
This is a much harder push for Mix than it was for Interstellar, I feel, because Interstellar could just go on the side, send Ruckus and Andro over the wall, or just landing on top of the little balcony coming out of house. mixalazeub have to walk up. They have to storm the beaches to make it up to them, and Interstellar isn't going to make it easy. Being able to dive into the backline at any given moment. They do take this under area, but losing Nauk is going to make this a lot harder. They just need to get healed up on the other side.
Spite just for some movement, but doesn't connect in the way that Uberspady was maybe hoping. Davy is well down onto the low ground. I mean, this is the point now where if Interstellar are just finding these one trades, they'll be happy with it. You wonder if Davazy maybe finds himself a roundabout flanked to open up some of this space. Flash takes some good damage there. Snaze, they're all kind of corralled in onto the high ground here. It's a Dread Serpent to send Snaze off to the side. Davazy, Nauk, and Pecha have all found a kill here. It's the Ruckus just to slow down this cart. The last man standing is Snaze, and it's a double kill for Pecha. So it's all at once, storming the beaches that Mix does. And it finally gets him some space and some progress on the cart.
The Dread Serpent, I think, was exactly what they needed. Just stun the people that are going to shoot down at you while you deal with the flankers, then turn and burn the other people that are contesting the cart. I think it was executed very, very well, and Mix already controlling the space that they know they need. This mine side and Flash and Snaze, a little bit of disconnect, gets him picked off, and now just Ruckus alone. Knicks need to hunt him down. They can't let him get out. That's the pick that they need to actually cap this point.
True power through onto Snaze, and not enough mobility to stay alive there. Uberspady hunts him down. In an awkward spot here, a lot of squishy members of mixalazeub. You're going to be looking for your tanks to get the job done elsewhere. Nauk starting to heat up a little bit. 5 streak on this Leon. Uberspady just keeping Interstellar back into the back of their base, and nobody able to escape, and this game is tied at 2.
Yeah, I don't want to be in Enviel's shoes. I don't want to be a Barrack contesting the point against a Talus and a Leon when you don't have any way to pressure them on the sides. A Barrack is all head. He just gets deleted very quickly because of that. And Interstellar need to find a way to control the sides to not have that disadvantage hurt them any more than it already has. They need to do what they did, but maybe bait the dive in from Nauk. Once he falls, then you can collapse on him with your Ruckus and Andro. You managed to catch him on an early dive on the first mid. I think they can do it again. Just has to be a little more patient instead of kind of trying to just find that first pick for the team. Hold a little bit. Bait them down, then make your move. I think that's how you open up the mixalazeub hold on mid.
It's time to break this tie once more. Momentum all for mixalazeub. To this point, Snaze was gunned down somewhat early in the last mid-fight, looking to stay alive a little bit longer here. Talus has been forced back, so an early advantage for Interstellar, but the health bar's whittling for a couple members on either side. Here comes the Ruckus. Hexafire guns down. See you later, says Snaze to Nauk. So no Leon. A Cursed Arm as well is going to find some value. Davazy taken down. The back line of mixalazeub is crumbling here, and the front line maybe the same. Pecha gets one with that seismic crash. And it's Flashu who has to make his way back into the lava side. And it's Interstellar who's able to open some space.
Snaze living, I think, is actually the biggest thing there because they couldn't wipe them. They couldn't get it clean. They had to keep running and not have it. Dread Serpent blocked by Uberspady. Oh, sorry, Dread Serpent to protect Uberspady, just as he runs around the corner. And keeping him alive is going to be huge for them staying in this fight.
Fortunately, Davazy pours a lot of damage into a shield, and not a lot into Enfield. But look at this, the reinforcements from mixalazeub just a little bit too fast for Interstellar to fully push that advantage. Enfield makes his way down onto the point. 66% for the red side, 54 not climbing just yet for the blue. Flash, 25 HP, one shot away from literally anyone will get this one done. Mathers found himself a good angle here as well. Drops a shot down into Nauk, and the quick scope on Uberspady. Flashbang is going to send a couple back. Flash gets the kill on a Nauk as well. The 3 members left alive for mixalazeub left running. A double kill for Mather down from the high ground. Make it 3, and Interstellar are going to take the 3rd point.
You have to watch the respawns, I think, for mixalazeub. If you're still sitting on the point, if you're all fighting in the open when Mather comes back, these are PPC level players. He's gonna hit shots, he's gonna hit headshots, you're not gonna live. You have to be paying attention to that. Not watching respawns against a team with a strong backline, the worst thing, and that's really what kind of signed the death knell there for them at the very, very end. Mix now need to, I think, retake this high. They finally do, taking down Mather, and this high ground is going to be key for staggering out the rest of the kills from Interstellar.
This game has been an absolute tug of war, hasn't it? Where there's a moment where Nauk is kind of left uncontested, doing massive damage, and then Mather in the mid-fight there is able to get a triple kill on the Strix given the right circumstances. And Enlightenment is going to do some good damage, but not nearly enough to make its way through Snaze. So Interstellar were successful in getting the push done. No successful defenses yet on Splitstone Quarrycrest, which I always find interesting. Both teams with the cap and a push. And Interstellar now a chance to win the game, but look at the aggressive positioning mixalazeub are taking. Move their way forward, but have they gone too far forward? Suddenly Davazy, Uberspady are down, Pecha left alone back behind the wall, and Nauk on no man's land as a Leon is going to get collapsed up.
I like the idea of it. I liked being able to push forward. I think the whole team had to commit, though. I think if you have some people in, some people out, then they just hold back, burn you down, or just go past you. They have that vertical mobility. They could just go and fight the people that are behind, and I think that's what happened to get those initial picks onto Devozy. This Talus, I feel like he's been struggling as this game has been going on. He just has to play his job of shredding those tanks, but there's just too much damage coming out from those tanks for him to actually win those duels and get it done.
Wow, and Nauk is able to stay alive here. Flashbang moves its way in. Dawes is going to drop down that ultimate, but just dodged out by mixalazeub. This is the retreat call for Interstellar. Not able to get out fast enough as Davazy will snag a nice double. Looked dire for a second there for mixalazeub, but they're able to slow things down, absorb a lot of that pressure, but Interstellar are going to fight back in. Dome Shield, the Cursed Arm, Hexafire all ready to go.
And they know they have these horizontal flankers, so they're just controlling these sides to try to pinch them when they go in. Already, though, both of the divers, they're sitting here, they set up, they find a kill, they go in. That's what they have to do, find someone who's isolated, but not really being given anything other than Inara. Leon, far enough away, should live with Damba there, but Flash with a great flank finds them an opening.
Goodbye, Leon, but also goodbye, Enfield, and that's all mixalazeub needed. Tied up at 3, seemed like we were barreling our way towards a big fight there for Interstellar to move forward. Said it was not to be. This is what happened in the previous mid-fight. When you leave this Strix uncontested and the shots are connecting, not much you can do there. 98% of the damage done by the rest of Interstellar, but it's Mather who finishes this one off. All right, Krez, 3-3. Either mixalazeub goes up 2-0 on set point, or Interstellar ties this one up. Looking at ultimates and stuff, mixalazeub's got all 5. They're in a great spot going into this mid-fight.
Yeah, I think that they have good ults, but not really any that are super impactful. They have some decent CC with Inara and Damba, but Brazil's all across the board. On Interstellar's side means they have the counters to it, plus Hexafire or Cursed Arm Dome Shield also kind of counter that. So if mixalazeub finds someone isolated, specifically the Corvus, they could make it work, but it might just come down to this duel. Mather misses the shot, but now disengages, and that could have been an advantage that mixalazeub just let slip away.
Been the name of the game for both sides here as well. Lots of mitigation there. Uberspady has to round his way around the back side. A Cursed Arm popped. And really one shot connects there, and Uberspady stays alive, kills Mather. Off to the side is Davazy. Double kill now for Uberspady. It's the Zin who's starting to find some space here. Flash does make amends, finds a kill here in return. Snaze as well, gets rid of Nauk. 2-for-2 trade so far, but it's Mix who's in a better spot. It has to be burned as the Dome Shield, and down goes Enfield. Nonetheless, the whirl rather forward from Uberspady. Down goes the Ruckus, moves, dashes right back onto the point. Flash is going to drop his way down as well. Punch connects over onto Uberspady. 87% for mixalazeub.
And Damba's in a perfect position right now to keep all his flanks alive. They can't really engage quite yet. Uber's, though, caught out. Okay, has the cooldowns. They're going to have to make the healer leave as well. The retake here, I think it has to be through a side that's not being watched, and it looks like Devosi might have found that, pressuring the Barrack. Andro maybe moving to contest now. No, it's Ruckus, but I don't think Ruckus can win this fight. He needs the Andro finally get it, but it's an even trade.
Ooh, and they trade out 2-for-1 on the back end of what looked like an even trade. 99%, but Enfield not in range. Mixalazeub go down 2-0 early on here. Able to fight back, finally get a successful defense, and now they're up 2-0 in the set.
That's not how you want to lose it. You don't want to lose it just because you got off for 1 second. Like, can I get one heal up? It's already over. Wasn't even fast OT, so just too caught up in the chaos of the fight. Interstellar kind of let it slip away. I feel like they had the comp that was just better throughout the majority of the game, but at the end of the day, you're 3-3. You just have to have the better final fight, or you just lose.
I think worth mentioning, Enfield after the first 2 points, 5-0-6 on that Barrack. Ends up 9, 8, and 16. So a struggle, to be sure, for Enfield. You know, continue to put some assists on the board. Got a couple of kills there, a few kills as well down the stretch. But mitigated heavily after really the performance we saw in the first cap and the first push. Granted, 5-0-6, hard to keep up with in that regard. Kiesel as well, 20k more healing here on the Damba. Maximum value of that healer as well. And really it seemed, though, Krez, and I think it's good highlighting, the Leon probably a lot to look at on mixalazeub. But really this battle between the Strix and the Leon, and then, it was the Xin versus the Androxus. That's kind of where this one lived and died, it seemed.
Yeah, for sure. The Leon trying to live against the dives, and when she does live now, it's like, all right, now I have to duel the Strix, or now how could I burn down the point? I think it came down to what backline was living better against the flankers, and Mather was doing amazing when he was uncontested, but I feel like Nauk was baiting them, was running away, forcing them to commit so hard. Snaze ended up pretty low on the damage charts, because I think Nauk was just guiding him the majority of the game. Snaze only at about, I think, 45,000 damage on the Ruckus, which after a long game, it's tough to justify, I think. That is not a lot for someone who's initiating almost every single fight.
Agreed, and it is Jaguar Falls, where either Interstellar is going to fight their way back in here, or mixalazeub is going to take their first set in Phase 2 of the PPC 3-0. Great fight back on Split Stone Quarry. That one was close after what was a very fast Stone Keep. So Jaguar Falls, you think of Blasters, Bomb King, these AoE healers, Maldamba, Grover. That's sort of what comes to my mind when you're talking about Jag Falls.
Yeah, and the ability to play anything, verticality not really being needed, but still being okay. You can bust out a Drogoz, a Willow, a Pip. I don't know if you would pull a Pip right now, but you can play him if you want to. It's Jaguar Falls. Even with Tenor not being here, you can still put Pip on that little bridge above the point, spam down, have a great ultimate. You can play a little bit of anything, but even so, the bans are still going to be the same as the last couple of maps. Terminus, Genos, Vivian from mixalazeub again. Follow-up could be... I wouldn't be shocked to see the Corvus, wouldn't be shocked to see the Inara, maybe just deny the amount of point tanks, force people down, but Rom instead, the Space Maker, even with Genos banned, there's other ways to deal with them, but they just don't want to have to worry about a Rom running into the backline.
Surprised or not, Kresnik, that we haven't seen a Victor yet up to this point?
Not super surprised. With the nerf to the Life Rip, you can get it up to almost the same with Life Rip 2 pretty quickly, but Cauterize is cheaper, he's going to fall off a little bit faster. You want these characters with maybe more mobility, maybe other means of self-sustain that you can play around instead that are just going to be more consistent than relying on the Life Rip at the end of the day.
I wonder, I bring it up because I'm so used to seeing, the Victor and the Vivian right next to one another, and if one of them is let through, then immediately picked up. That's Phase 1, though, so Phase 2 maybe a little bit of a different tone here. And Nara not banned out, again, first picked here. This time by Interstellar, so obviously seeing some value in that point tank department. Bomb King so strong here on Jaguar Falls, especially after what we saw on Stone Keep. Love the pick here for Interstellar.
Yeah, Nara definitely high priority, I would say, on Jaguar Falls. Able to wall off choke points, able to just push into you. If you're sitting inside one of those rooms, just throw up the Earthen Guard, run right in. You're not going to be able to stop her. And then the double blast combo coming in also, Bomb King and Ashe. Ashe, we know she can follow up on anything. This has a lot of potential to be an aggressive, sustainy comp from Interstellar, With Corvus still available, that's probably going to be the support pick for them, and I think that supplements that draft even more. Atlas will be able to stop them from getting super aggressive, but there's enough ways to block that setback that I think they can make it work.
Interesting. A Khan as well for the first time here in Phase 2 of the PPC. Obviously, you know, reduced stun time on the Vortex grip when you're running that talent as well, with what we've talked about with resilience being a little bit cheaper now. Everyone's buying it. Are you surprised that mixalazeub have gone for the Khan?
I think he's still a good bully. He's still good into the Ashe. Some people maybe kind of start going Makoa instead, running that old school counter where you just hook her out of her assert dominance or hook her out of the shoulder bash, but you can still play Khan. He just walks you a storm of bullets. Biggest problem here is going to be dueling it into that Bomb King. Bomb King, even with the damage nerf, he's still going to be poking Khan from over his shield, doing a respectable amount of damage, make it harder for him to push. And Willow last picked into a Victor. That's interesting. Victor, I wouldn't have expected to see him on this map. He's going to do well into the Willow, but on the mid fights, she's still going to be poking around corners. She's still going to dead zone the point, force you off. There's still a level of control that mixalazeub are going to have that no amount of hit scan will be able to stop from having at least a slight impact on the fight.
Corvus unpicked, unbanned here for game number 3. Interstellar are going to go with the Grover instead. Going to have his hands full fighting into a Willow. Jaguar falls. Can Interstellar fight back? Can they get themselves a win on the board? They came real close on Splitstone Quarry, but it's mixalazeub who have the 2-0 lead here in our first set of Phase 2 of the PPC over in Europe. Looking to make up some ground and take the set is the opposite side. mixalazeub have drafted themselves a strong off-tank front line, a Willow on the back, and an Androxus to drive some of that damage home. You start to look towards this mid-fight, though, Kresnik. Where do you think this hinges? I mean, I kind of look towards this Bomb King and the Willow, controlling that space so important, and then, you know, you start to look at the Victor. He's got his hands full trying to get this Willow out of the sky.
Yeah, I feel like the mid-fight is going to be almost even. I just want to see what Nauk can do on this Andro, because who's going with him, really? Khan, maybe, but Khan's not the most mobile off-tank in the world. He's going to walk in. He's going to be outpaced a little bit by Nauk. You can see they're actually just stacking everyone up on this right side, but Ashe and Bomb King alone slowing them down, and the cap time for Interstellar is just going up for free.
First blood over to Snaze. Interstellar, they swing first here in this one. 51% for the blue side. Flash, Poppy Bomb, way up and over, but sniped down, says Davazy. 1-for-1 trade to start off, but it's still Interstellar building up this point percentage. mixalazeub haven't even looked towards the mid yet, and they need to now. 93% and climbing for Interstellar. Snaze has found the opening kill. When you're sending Androxus onto the point to contest, things don't look great for you. It's a good battle shout, though, to buy a little bit of time. That's Pecha, who now has to drop the shield, but can bring it right back up. One of the many wonders of Khan. A good setback, though. Mathers guns down Pecha, and that's the route over onto Davazy. Interstellar run over mixalazeub and take point number 1.
Mix, I feel like they just never had map control. Every time I saw where they were holding, it was both tanks in the same exact lane. What's stopping Interstellar from just sending Victor around the side, from maybe rotating that BK and pushing him from another angle? Khan and Atlas are watching the same thing. The entire rest of the map wide open. They need more control if they want to actually stop Interstellar from going around and actually give their Androxus, I think, a space to move through. They opened up that one side, but it was so obvious. Spayflight's going to be their first, I think, saving grace this entire game so far.
Mather was wondering where the damage was coming from, but it was behind him the entire time. Nothing personnel, kid, says Uber Spady, and down goes the Victor. Flash will trade out 1 on the back foot. So a small bit of space there for Interstellar. But now you look at the fight back, Krez. That's a Fey Flight used. There's a Dread Serpent, a Cursed Arm, ready to go for Mix. But Interstellar have some great space-making tools, a Seismic Crash, some great lockdown really across the board. Maybe it's the barrage to get things going here. A couple of rockets down. Battle Shout mitigates 2 out of 3. Well timed there from Pecha, but that's going to force the Khan back. So 1 cooldown importantly gone. Dread Serpent up to the high ground, used now by Mix. A Cursed Arm as well is going to find some damage. Mather finds the opening kill of this engagement on a Davazy. Enviel trades out the second. Both tanks down for Mix. The damage dealers need to get it done, and they're not able to do so. 60 seconds left. mixalazeub on the back foot.
That was actually a perfect whirlwind by Dawes on this Grover. He countered a Dread Serpent, and he countered the Accursed Arm. Neither got any value, and then Atlas just bled out because Atlas is still kind of a slave to his cooldowns. He has to wait for it to be done before anything else happens. They're trying to send someone to the point, but they have no true point tank, and Interstellar just walk it in.
I was going to say, these off-tank, nice double kill there for Dawes on the back end of it. These tanks for mixalazeub have just had a rough time up to this point. 2-3-1, 1-4-3. Granted, nobody really for mixalazeub is having a fantastic time at the moment. But a combined 3-7-4 on both of the tanks. Interstellar just kind of gunning them down.
And I want to see Mix just play a little bit more to actually hold space. Atlas can point tank. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but he can do it. You can play your shield, you can play your resets, but spending all of his credits on Cauterize, you have to rush Kronos, I think, if you're going to play that style. He can't really do that rotation now. He can hold it for a little bit, and that little bit might be enough time for the Androxus to make something happen. They could just have those 2 lanes held down, maybe send Andro on the other, maybe send him around the outside, and have enough pressure on the map where they can't just afford to stare it now.
This is where Game 2 really turned around, was the second mid-fight. Not going to be quite the same, as Mather has already found the opening kill here in this one. Snaze in the middle ground, controlling that space, shoulder bash forward, barrage up once more. Saving that assert dominance for the right moment. Enviel is going to get rid of Davazy again. Struggles continue for these tanks. Overpower onto Flash. That one connects. Can just throw him off the map if need be. Is going to send the Bomb King off to the side. Assert dominance up, down. Going to be used now by Interstellar. Faithlight chipping away some good damage, but Enviel half HP is really all the value that this Faithlight finds. Into the close space we go. Dawes uses the Whirlwind this time around. Dread Serpent sends a couple running away. Uber Spady in the face of danger is going to gun down Snaze. Good wall there, buying some space this time around from the Atlas. Finally, some breathing room for mixalazeub, and they've got themselves 85%. King Bomb stun. Down goes Davazy. Pecha as well, and Uber Spady will pick up a kill.
Flash barely lives though, and with Enviel going down, they have to touch, and there's an Accursed Arm in the way. I don't think they can, maybe. Actually, wait, Ash sneaks past them, but the rest of the team isn't there. She's just living as long as she can just to buy in time for her team to stagger out.
Overtime on, overtime off, and mixalazeub has gotten themselves their first point of Jaguar Falls. A chance to mirror what we saw on Splitstone Quarry if this push goes through. Now, good movement there. Gets the kill over onto Mather. It's really Interstellar now, out of nowhere, Kresnik, that are kind of on the back foot, already forced back into their base.
I think the Atlas was the big impact player for that last mid-fight near the very end. The fact that he went in, dove the Victor, killed him with like 200, 300 HP remaining, and then got a full heal from a second chance. I think that was the biggest impact play there. Basically having effectively 3 tanks with 2 full health bars definitely changed the game. And this Faithlight is actually countering the Victor right now. He can't hide. Finally, he backs up. Faithlight is over, but the pressure on Interstellar, their health bars are so low, Grover can't keep up.
mixalazeub is quite low themselves, though. Mather needs to burst down a few of these shots. Somehow, nobody from mixalazeub gets killed off yet. Atlas stays alive again. You gotta be kidding me. None of these kills getting finished off yet, really, from either side. And now it's the Willow, who's 10% HP. Finally, Nauk makes his way through, rampaging over onto Flash. A double kill for the Androxus. The defense has crumbled. It's all down to Enviel just to buy respawn timers for the rest of his team as Uber Spady gets the final shot over onto Mather. Wall up. Not enough, though, as Nauk will barrel stuff Enviel, and this payload continues.
And the pressure of the vertical pressure, Enviel thinks he's safe, but impossible with Androxus on the other side of the map. Interstellar, I don't know if they want to spend ults to defend this. If they do and they hold it, they could be up 3-1, but already mixalazeub pulled the trigger first, and now they're stuck. I mean, it's 4v4 with the trade, but still a rough look for them right now.
1 for 1. Davazy down, flashes as well. Respawns much closer for Interstellar. Savage is Nauk as Dawes goes down, so you've lost your healer now if you're Interstellar. 5 ultimates ready to go. Mather finds an angle, bursts down 1. Headshots from Snaze will put down Uber Spady quietly. It feels like a round-ending fight, but it sure isn't. 20 seconds left if mixalazeub can fight their way in.
The only issue here is that the tanks, if they get dismounted, how do they really get in? They have these tanks with the kind of low mobility. Unless Devozy literally sneaks past right behind Mather. No, wow, immediate reaction. Must have heard the mount, and they're going to touch, but Devozy is so early. He has to go way out. He won't have a chance to go again.
It's now Pecha who has to move in. Big duel there. Mathers finishes off the one kill. Nauk as well. Gets rid of Snaze, but Pecha, Davizzy both being gone does not bode well here. Flash is going to hit the final bit of damage. And this one is a successful defense for Interstellar. You wondered if they would maybe feel the need to use some of those ultimates on the defensive side. The answer was no, or maybe the defense just lasted long enough that they came back up off of cooldown. Nauk, though, really found his footing on this Androxus, and big reason mixalazeub have a point in the game.
Yeah, it's been a big deal. Androxus definitely, I think, one of the stronger characters in the meta right now. So flexible, able to kind of play that range, poke you down. Hit scan is just so valuable at the moment. If you're good enough, you're hitting headshots, you're just going to be outputting more damage than any of the projectile characters if you are good enough. And we've seen, obviously, that Nauk is, with the way he's been able to poke and prod from a distance. Now, Mix, both teams have most of their ultimates. I feel like they have a lot of counter ultimates, though. Exile, Overpower, maybe for the Assert Dominance. Fade Flight, hard to engage, especially if you play it on the open side. But Mix, they're playing patient. Nauk might have an opening, but it looks like the tank actually knew, got baited in, and that Andro has to fall back, and they have to go for a plan B.
Davizzy has to back off. Is going to pop the ultimate here. Shield gets rid of really all the exiles. Very low, almost maximum value on the second chance there. But look at the cascade of kills we're seeing here from mixalazeub. Nauk has bought his time, found an angle, and it's 3 kills in the mid-fight. Swept our Interstellar. Not able to get off all their ultimates, though, so potential for a retake. But at 85%, it looks like they're just going to buy their time on defense.
Yeah, the double comeback hurting significantly for Interstellar here. They're going to have to play defense again, but they're probably not going to spend, other than right now, I doubt they're going to spend anything. Even if they lose this, it's just a 3-3, then they don't have to deal with the comeback. It's a more winnable fight for them, honestly. Mix, though, they're hungry for this. They're pushing in. They send an Accursed Arm right over the top, and Nauk finds 2.
A triple kill for Nauk. Continues the payload's movement forward with 2 minutes left. Already boxed back into their base is Interstellar here. So you're going to send tank on one side, Willow off on the other to try to get those dismounts. Force Interstellar back. If you're going to fight through, you're going to be fighting into a massive amount of damage. Wall buying just a little bit of space there. Next is Davizzy. Pecha on the right-hand side here is going to get pushed back just a little bit as Snaze moves his way back from the respawn side. Battle shot used by Pecha this time around. Finding some angles off on the backside here are Interstellar, so they're able to poke down just a little bit of extra damage onto mixalazeub. Davizzy has to use the second chance to top off his own health bar here. And Dawes finding the opening kill. That might be the trigger here for mixalazeub to back off.
I was going to say that I thought it was smart that Pecha was giving up that space on the right side, but what had to happen was they back up, let the Ashe go in, maybe re-heal, and then push forward from there and break through. But it looked like a disconnect between main and the flank side. As they were backing up, Atlas thought he had to go in. Davizzy taking a little bit, like you said, had to use the second chance. Ends up getting it forced out. They can't re-push, so they have to give up all this ground and sacrifice maybe 45 to 50 seconds of time that they need to push this card in if they want to be in a position to win the game next round, potentially. Start re-pushing now. How synced up are they? This is matter. Dread Serpent could be the opening they need, but it looks like no kills just yet.
That's right. mixalazeub doesn't find a lot of value there, but Nauk sure does. Goodbye, Flash. Now it's a Fade Flight used. Mather has to back his way away from this Fade Flight here. Dawes is going to find a way. Stay alive. Big win there for Interstellar to keep their healer in this fight, but now it's Envio left alone. Wall goes up. Only a little one. It's going to buy some time here, but maybe not enough. Nauk does get traded out by Flash. That's another win for Interstellar here. 5 seconds left on the respawn as Pecha is going to be the one who finishes off Envio just a few seconds ago. 10 seconds left and Assert Dominance around the corner here. Might not use it with 8 seconds left. It's the rewind over onto Snaze, who's going to dash himself forward. Uber Spady starting to heat up a little bit, but Mather is going to put him down once more. Envio tosses up the wall. Is going to contest here. Mather around the backside. Dropped down by Nauk. Envio is going to fall as well, and we are tied at 3. mixalazeub, maybe dub here in just a moment. Knocking on the door of a 3-0.
The timing of the death from Dawes was worst case scenario. You mentioned, huge win that he got away in that earlier fight, and then as soon as the fight where the cart is teetering on the edge of going in, he's the first pick. Willow just finds him in the back around the corner. Not sure if he was able to re-heal up in time. That's what really got him in there in the end. And even that push initially where he lived, he's Grover. He's not putting out the healing that he needs to because he has to run into spawn. This Fade Flight is giving mixalazeub, I feel, a lot of value. on these aggressive pushes. It's poking out Victor from a distance. It's poking out the Grover. Forcing the team to get isolated means when Enviel and Snaze are on an island, they're just going to go down. They don't have the resources to sustain that long. 5 ultimate strong for Interstellar now. They have the way to engage. They just have to actually be able to spend them before the game is up. They were holding 2 ults as they were watching the point get capped last time.
Nauk has absolutely ripped through Interstellar, but not this time around. Dawes is going to use the Whirlwind to keep those health bars nice and full. No Androxus here, but some exiles from Davazy. Can this Atlas stay alive? He's back behind the statue here. Good use of those rotations. Overpower connects onto Dawes, but the Vine back in. How does he stay alive there? You gotta be kidding me. Nothing going the way of mixalazeub on this final fight here. Nauk back into the fight, has to dash his way through. Counter up and down. 72% is where Interstellar stalled themselves out at. Maybe a chance for mixalazeub to fight back in.
They only have Dread Serpent though, and they're going to be facing a King Bomb and a Seismic Crash. Send this early, send both at the same time to lead, but he had Brazil! He got the shout off in time, and he survived 2 ultimates!
That's a big win there for Pecha, and the shield is going to keep them in the fight. Mather melts through the shield and the health bar. Nauk, though, on the backside of the fight, has a double kill. This Androxus ripping through Interstellar. This game needs to come up big for mixalazeub here this time around. Back behind the grenade, gets it done. Mather finds a big kill there. Davazy is going to drop down Enviel. The rewind out and forward, 99% Interstellar. They get the dismount onto Pecha, the battle shout, not enough, and Interstellar find themselves their first win in the set.
Just at the very end, everything that mixalazeub wanted to do just went wrong. All the ultimates. Accursed Arm doesn't apply Cauterize, gets healed right through that damage. He wins the trade. Khan tries to get the throw off, but Grover has Resiled 3. He is able to recover from that stun from the throw in time just to vine himself back. Phenomenal play at the end by Interstellar. I said they had, I think, some ults to engage, but they played them to counter, and I think that was exactly what they ended up needing, even with a monstrous 27 and 10 from Nauk. It wasn't enough, because the mid fight is all that matters. When the ultimates connect, they win you the game.
I mean, that one was a war of attrition, really, on both sides. Keeping up with a 27 and 10 Androxus, absolutely not easy, and something a lot of other players would probably shy away from. But I think, between Mather and Flash this game, great performances on both of them. The Vine back to the ceiling is what saves Dawes there.
Oh no, it wasn't even a Resiled 3 thing. He actually just hit the statue instead of throwing him. It was a panic throw, and it kept him alive, and that might have actually been what caused it. That's so brutal. He sees the Seek is coming in, he's mashing left click. Maybe he moves his mouse a little bit too much while he's mashing, hits the statue, and it's the end.
Unfortunate there, but fortunate if you're Interstellar. Mixalazeub, they take the first 2 maps. Interstellar, and 7 points, is able to take Jaguar Falls. We are headed to a map 4, but not just yet. We'll take a quick break. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. You are about to watch Game 4 between Interstellar and mixalazeub. After a back-and-forth set, 2 7-point games, Interstellar finally able to get a win on the board. And how important that was. And, Krez, we might be snowballing our way towards another 7-point game with Ice Mines on the menu.
Yeah, it for sure is going to be looking like that, unless there's a severe outdraft on one side or the other. I feel like these teams have had interesting priorities in the draft, so I want to see how they change. I definitely expect to see Terminus still banned. Maybe BK even finds his way into that column here. We know how much control he can have on these tight maps, but they just let it through on Jag. Maybe these teams feel like they have the answer to it on the other side. Either way, I want to see how they adapt to this map. If maybe we see Corvus come through, but we're definitely still going to see Vivian, and we're definitely still going to see Terminus.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. You know, pick ban one way or the other. Fernando, I think, is one that we've sort of touched on back and forth as far as received some changes, hasn't quite seen that same priority, I guess, in that point tank conversation. But Ice Mines always seems like a map where some teams are a little more comfortable returning to that Fernando. So, hey, maybe this is a map where we'll see him brought out. Terminus is banned away, so at least one of those two we will no longer, or we won't see, rather, here on this one. Rom continuing to be banned out. I don't know if we're ever going to see him let through. You know, the Genos, such a popular pick here, so interesting maybe that the Rom is banned out nonetheless. But an Atlas finally makes his way into the ban column.
That to me screams that Interstellar want to play aggressive. I think they want to run it down, get rid of that Atlas, and you can afford that. You can play these multiple flankers, but that's an interesting play style to run on Ice Mines. I feel like it's a little risky. The flankers don't necessarily have the most impactful ultimates, and that's what it can come down to. As the fight goes forward, you want really good engagement tools or great counters, and engagement tools, Ashe, she's got it. Assert dominance into the backline, big group stun, a lot of places to get that fast ultimate where you can hit your head on the ceiling, come right back down. Good opening for Interstellar. Just want to see if they get some aggressive DPS to back it up.
Well, Genos is going to enable a little of that extra aggressive DPS. Yeah, you talk about flanks, the aggressive flanks we've seen up to this point. It's really been Talus, Xin, and Droxus have kind of been the three that have jumped out to me today. Bomb King, map dependent, of course, but not necessarily in the aggressive flank conversation. More blaster conversation there with him. Inara and Grover, so largest health pool and also massive amounts of healing here for mixalazeub to start off their draft. I think they've got something that can work for them here on Ice Mines.
Agreed. I think Grover's a great pick. He can heal pretty much everyone on the map the whole time, as long as he's in the right position, and if you get the angle right, you can throw that crippling axe with the root buff through the gates at the start of the game, dismount and root the entire enemy team. You have such a huge advantage on the mid-fight if you get that to work. And Drogo's kind of a flavor pick, I would say, for Ice Mines. Great for control. You put him inside that side area, you send that combustible fire spit over to the stage, knock people off the map or just knock them away from you, slow things down, burn resources, and he has an execution ultimate. That's all you can ask for an Ice Mines draft.
That's right. The Dragon Punch, just massive. I mean, it's making sure you find value. You got to get the punch if you're going to trade out your life for it nonetheless. So we'll have to see how mixalazeub is able to play around that one. A Kinessa, interestingly enough. So Strix not picked or banned. Instead, Kinessa is going to get reached for here by Interstellar, and then a Fernando is an answer back by mixalazeub. What do you think of the Kinessa pick?
I feel like, did Interstellar pick up Stigma during between the two games? Because usually you don't see him here unless it's that kind of player, but Kinessa, if the player's good, it's going to own the game. It's going to win the game. That's just what snipers do. They completely bend the flow of the game around them where you have to pressure them or just hide the entire time. No middle ground, and right now, I don't think mixalazeub have a great comp to pressure. They're going to have to just play outside and hope this Inara Grover can sustain while they whittle down the other members of the team.
Immortal is probably going to find some value in that conversation there as well. And then a Xin to round out the draft. So Kinessa, Talus, Xin, 3 damage dealers being supported by a Genos, a little extra damage there. And then an Ashe to play extra aggressive. Seems absorbing pressure versus creating pressure is kind of the name of the game here. Does one scream Ice Mines a little bit better to you, though?
mixalazeub's draft screams Ice Mines, but I feel like if Interstellar execute, if they set up Ashe Genos combos, Talus Genos combos, or if their Kinessa just wins the game for them, I think they could take it even in the face of that.
Well, game number 4, mixalazeub still on set point. Interstellar trying to keep themselves alive, keep the reverse sweep alive here on Ice Mines. A map that we have seen go the distance and one that has taken about 6 total minutes. So we'll have to see which one of those two we are barreling our way towards. Mixalazeub has had the momentum in a couple of Interstellar, though, continuing to claw their way right back in. Let's talk about this Fernando, though, for a second here. Terminus, very popular on this map. Fernando kind of seems to be that next point tank, or even somewhat of an off tank sometimes, depending on how you want to play him. What do you expect from Davizzi here in this game?
I think Nando is actually in a great place right now. Immortal is such an impactful ultimate. The best counter ult, I think, in the game. How else do you counter, hey, nobody can die? Anything you want to do that involves killing another player, which is probably 90% of the plans in the game for that, just plain can't happen. Fantastic for that. I hope he goes Aegis. I feel like it is kind of boring for some players, but I think it just brings so much to the game. Protect your DPS, have a shield every 4 seconds, one of the better point tanks when that happens, but he doesn't need to play that style. He has his Inara playing on that other side, but Kinessa already doing work. You can't peek her, and they're going to learn that very quickly. They keep making that mistake.
Wow, Mather makes his way in to the tune of a nice double kill, and oftentimes on Ice Mines, that's all you need, the dash away, and not enough. Davizzi goes down, so 10 seconds left on that respawn, 48% already so far on the mid-fight for Interstellar, and they've gotten themselves set up. They're looking good here for point number 1.
Yeah, that aggressive zone, we know it's going to just win you the round on ice if no one can get close. They actually don't have anyone watching the short side over there, but no one was willing to take that risk of walking into Enviel's sightline, and already great control, I think, from them. The card is moving, but they have this Kinessa on this wide angle. As long as he doesn't take Grover Axes, it's going to be a lot of damage. They're going to get forced back, and look at the space that's being made just by holding this angle.
My goodness, Enviel has been on the point tanks most of the time up to this point, but now pivoting over to the Kinessa and finding great value for it. 6 streak burning away for the sniper. Mather has absolutely been there time and time again, though, to follow up on a lot of these kills. So maybe now found an angle off to the side. Figure Mixalazeub will know he's coming from there. Push in at the same exact time as the Ashe this time around. Rune of Travel takes him back, keeps him alive. And now he's maybe found an angle over onto the Fernando back on these steps. Davizzi gets melted through, and Interstellar continue to put out pressure.
I was going to say that was a great peel from the Drogos, but Davizzi being caught alone means this 5v4 now push can continue with 3 seconds still remaining. I think they have good space right now. They have all the high ground being held. Dawes isn't really peeking anything he doesn't have to, but the cart's finally too far forward. He'll have to back up. The tank will have to take it, and look, already the tank drops down. They push the Nando up, and they're willing to spend the Dragon Punch.
And that's going to buy just some space with 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Uber Spady is going to connect for the delete over onto Snaze and getting rid of Ashe, especially in a triple DPS comp. Maybe a little extra value there for Mixalazeub. But they haven't really gained that much ground. Granted, you don't want to push too far forward at risk of throwing away your lives. But Mixalazeub used the ultimate and really just buys him time.
And I think that's fine. Drogos can do a lot of damage. There's still enough time to charge it back up, but none of it gets insta-picked, but
wow.
Both DPS stacked up. Mather wasn't thinking about the amount of damage coming in, but at least they end up getting the trade.
Here's the follow-up, though. Snaze quite low, but not taken out just yet. 5 ultimates rather ready to go for Interstellar here. Pecha outputting some good damage. Shoulder Bash is going to slow this one down. Uber Spady gets the kill. That's a cripple down onto Flash, who somehow weaves some shots around right on through, connects to Uber Spady. And the Zen maybe stays alive here. Davizzi just doesn't have the damage. Gets some healing through the counter there as well. 15 seconds left for Interstellar to get back to the cart.
And this is why Zen, I think, is so good. He has so many abilities that just stall damage, cleanse, cauterize. Genos Mark also great value on him. Able to cleave shots with a 50% damage boost through the entire enemy team. That might actually be a perfect route. Looks like they got the contest at the last second, and they weren't watching the flank because of that. That Zen might open the door for them.
And it sure did. Uber Spady gets taken out by Flash on the flank here. Princess Pecha, though, is going to get 1 kill traded out. Mather, a touch more damage, able to get it. Flash now a couple of kills here in this fight. Respawns are going to be there. Uber Spady back from base. Immortal, big value there from Davizzi. Rune of Travel goes down, but Immortal times out as well. Cart continuing to roll itself forward. Overtime is on, and nobody from Mixalazeub in range. And up 2-0 go Interstellar.
That might have been worst case scenario for Mixalazeub from start. As soon as Pecha went down, I'm like, all right, they're going to cap it. The Nando's contesting. Oh, maybe they have it. Oh, they spent Immortal? What are they going to do on? Oh, and then there was comedy of errors at the very end there for them. They thought they could hold on, but just not buying enough respawn time. I honestly think Mather slipping under them to get the contest there at the end. But Chad is saying Talus point tank, but that actually turned things around. Throw them on the point. They're not expecting that. The card's moving. Suddenly they're panicked. They spend ultimates to try to contest, and Interstellar go into the next mid with a wealth here. They got rid of Barrage, they got rid of the Immortal, and they have all 5 strong on their side.
It's a great start here for Interstellar. One step closer to tying up this set, but now we've seen this 2 or 3 games in a row where mixalazeub go down 0-2. They fight their way back in thanks to fast cap, tie it up. We're barreling our way towards another one of those storylines. Mid-fight number 2, though, maybe a different story for mixalazeub. It's a Dragon Punch up, but Mather's going to get the kill. Uberspady eventually tracks down Envil, and Mather will go down as well. 2-for-1 trade to start off this round. Final shot from Uberspady, good for the double. Up and over he goes, but Snaze finds the final shot there. It's mixalazeub, all things considered, slightly in the advantage, but a spite will put down Davazy quietly. It's the blue side with 66%.
It's going to depend on how this Seismic Crash goes. I think if this Ashe goes down, that's the stagger they didn't need. If the cap keeps happening here, if they just don't find anybody, perfect whirlwind, no follow-up, and that could have been good, but Interstellar just couldn't finish any kills.
It was a root down onto Mather, but he was able to make his way out. Does get the kill onto Kiesel here, but it does not matter as mixalazeub is going to get themselves their first point here on Ice Mines. Interstellar completely swept, and this is maybe worst case scenario for the red side all of a sudden. You lose the mid-fight and you're completely taken out with Uberspady hanging, salvo ready just around the corner. And get some good damage here, and they've already made up a good bit of ground on the push.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, not a ton, other than Kinessa, they don't have a ton of poke. Now that Envil's back, now they can maybe hold this down. Grover can't peek at all, but Nano Shield in the way could help them quite a bit. Needs to actually stay still, but Kiesel tries to cross mistimed, and Interstellar just wiping the floor with them.
These 1-2 punches have been consistent for Interstellar, except for maybe that mid-fight where Mather, now on a killing spree, is finding good space and value out of the talents here up to this point. So it's up to mixalazeub now to change the tides of this push. They've already gotten pushed all the way back into their base, past that midway point. Nauk is going to burst down one final target, and Kiesel will get the second. I like the play, though, I think, from Interstellar here. I mean, you realize this is such a long map. We can play as far forward as we need. And as long as we can slow down the push for mixalazeub, we're in a good spot.
I think biggest issue with the Interstellar comp for trying to hold is Ashe drops Seed Shield, and then what? You really can't keep that space held anymore. You're relying so much on your Kinessa, but even then they can play on the sides and find the picks. So Interstellar have to, I think, wait for them to move forward and then pounce as one unit in front of Envil's sightline, but there's ways to counterplay that. You can already see them doing it. Find a pick on a flanker at the start, and then Interstellar just falter. They can't hold with Envil if they're setting enough bodies in the way. The sniper can't kill everyone that fast.
Well, it's a full sweep, but just slightly delayed, as Mather will respawn back. So does Envil up from the high ground as well. 30 seconds left, barreling our way towards maybe one final fight here for mixalazeub. To maybe stay alive in this one. You want to save some ultimates for the next mid-fight, if possible. Uberspady just a bit behind the fight here. mixalazeub have gone in, but they don't have a Drogos to supply all the damage just yet. Princess Pecha taken down by Snaze. Immortal from Davazy used here. mixalazeub are selling out for this push, and they force back the Ashe just enough, and they roll it in.
No way. I can't believe Snaze stood in the only position that would not have contested the objective. There was one spot where Snaze went that wouldn't have contested, and he went there.
Wow.
And just let Nano push it in. No Immortal now for mixalazeub, but apparently they don't need it. And apparently Interstellar having 5 ults doesn't change anything either, according to the last fight. If Ubers has as good of a fight as he did last time, just diving into the tunnel and taking down 2 different people, they can turn it around, but you can't rely on that kind of hero play every single time. I think what they need is a perfect whirlwind to counter and engage from a Talus. As long as it's not Talus Genost, they should be able to live through the damage and maybe just get far enough away from Snaze so that this assert dominance can't find its mark.
What is another game where mixalazeub go down 0-2 and fight their way back in, and we are tied up at 2 here. Mather finds the opening kill. Into the billow goes Flash around the backside, unable to find the final shot onto Uberspady. That's a through time and space used this time around. Spite connects over onto the Fernando, but Uber Spady is there to turn around the damage. Envio trying to find the final shot. Snaze, though, gets it done for him. Teleporter up to the backside. Dragon Punch, no good. Uber Spady, down he goes. A barrage to soften up some of the front line, maybe some of the back line for mixalazeub. But there's 2 left here on the mid. Interstellar, though, they have not built up a lot of point percentage, and Davazy is able to get the kill as well. Interstellar now have to zone.
And no ultimates left either, so they have to just play with a little bit of a health pool that they have, and so much health entering the fight with the Sonara on Mountain Window. Go over back 2 to keep them all kind of wound up health-wise. They still have to push into a Kinessa, though, and crossing this gap to get onto her isn't going to be easy. Look how much damage Inara is already taking, but they bleed out a player on the right side.
1-for-1 trade. Now he gets one, trades out his own life for it, but all the trades now for Interstellar. They're all one-sided. I don't think you call them trades at that point, just straight up kills. Interstellar grit to fight back into that mid-fight. And it's really just the Grover left running away. Mather drops down the Rune of Travel. Keep this cart moving as quickly as possible, rooted, but can still make his way back. And what a fight back in from Interstellar. Now a chance to tie up the set.
Yeah, I think great ending by them, having the Enveal there. Kinessa showing so much value on this map because they had this huge amount of health entering the fight, but it was going into a Kinessa, bursting down that quickly. Enveal's connecting everything that they need, but Princess Petra actually makes so much space in the backline, they just ignore the front and Nauk. 3 kills on this Victor.
That's what you need. Find that value from this Victor wherever you can, but getting somewhat punched out, sniped out by the Kinessa. True Power will not really find him anything, but he's made his way back into the respawning side. Flank here. Princess Petra is going to win the kill, thanks to some help from Uber Spady. So True Power may be used to disengage, but didn't find him that. Instead, he's got to respawn and take the long way back.
A little confusing. My guess there is he was going, all right, guys, I'm going to engage. Can we go? Can we go? We're not close. So he turned around, never turned around to go for it. Ended up getting caught out because of the person mounting back. So they got that first pick, but Interstellar still, even with that advantage, just the space he made just by using that ult forces mixalazeub back, and they keep this area held.
Ooh, Barrage does get a little bit of tick damage, but not enough to fully get the kill. Instead, he's going to gun down Flash. 55 seconds left. Couple of fights left in Interstellar. 5 ultimates strong here. Now you're in the position where if you're Interstellar, you realize we can swing and, you know, maybe win the game here, tie up this set. We better be sure that we're going to win if we're going to use all of our ultimates. Going into that next mid-fight down on ults tied up, not a great spot to be.
They could maybe just spend one combo here, Talus Genos, and then still have Ashe Kinessa ends in for the next one. It's one possibility, but it looks like they're just taking a lot of poke here, and if they bleed someone out early, they're not going to be willing to keep committing. But the under area is safe. Both flankers are there, not really getting pressured, and the cart's actually still moving. Do they know? Do they know the cart's moving in the back?
I'm not sure they do. It is contested now. So at least slowed down Mather. True Power over onto Uber Spady. That one connects. Can he get out alive? He sure can. No more Drogos. Now Snaze gets the kill on a Nauk as well. Grover dropped. It's up to the frontliners for mixalazeub to get it done. Seismic Crash is there. Drogos back in just a second from respawn. Cart inching its way in. Down goes Princess Petra, and we are headed to a game number 5.
Interstellar, they had the ground held and no one was willing to peek up top. They were afraid, and because of that, they couldn't punish the flankers that were just sitting on the ground, moving the cart. Once it got too close, Petra panicked, I think, walled a little bit too far by the edge, so the cart kept moving, had to drop the wall, had to seismic crash, all of that in front of a Kinessa. You're not going to live long enough, and both of these tanks, I think, really struggled to find what they needed into this aggressive flank combined with a damage-boosted Kinessa.
I mean, we've seen kind of the two sides of this coin today, where the frontliners for mixalazeub have had good games, and now we've seen a couple games where, you know, poor overall. That's a 6-20 and 20 combined scoreline for the frontlines there for mixalazeub. Good healing from Dawes as well on the Genos, but really Enveal, Mather, and Flash, the damage dealers here, just played off one another so well. Out of lockdown as well, to your point, Krez. Some ultimates able to be paired with one another. I think Interstellar had themselves a fantastic game here on Ice Mines.
Yeah, I agree. And I said, like, it became a skill matchup, I think, once they ended up with this draft. Mix had an okay amount of counter ultimates, but kept getting it forced out by the pressure that Interstellar were putting on. They never had the Immortal and the Whirlwind and everything they wanted to actually push on that mid-fight, maybe have someone go in really aggressively with an Immortal to stay alive through that. They never had all the tools, and I think that just ended up biting them in the end. Maybe just let it go through, say, okay, it's Ice Mines. We'll fight. We'll do the next fight. Maybe we don't need it for that. But they were always so eager to hold it and keep the game even that I think they just faltered at the end.
Well, mixalazeub take the first couple of games, Interstellar take the last couple of games, and now we get to go to a Game 5. First set of the phase, and first Game 5 of the phase already, and Shattered Desert, Kresnik, is not what I thought we would be seeing here, but it sure is. Shattered Desert for game number 5.
Yeah, Shattered Desert back in the map pool. I'm actually excited to see it. I know some teams, when it came out, it was unique, so people were a little concerned about it, like, oh, this is this wide map, but still kind of flat. What are we going to be willing to play on this? But I think as it got played in that initial PPL phase last year, teams kind of warmed up to it. They understand that it's just another rotation-based map that backlines maybe just a little stronger on than Jaguar Fall, so I expect to see some similar picks in terms of strong backlines, but you can still play those horizontal flankers as long as you can play your distance there. Interstellar, interesting that they're banning what I thought was one of their most comfortable picks here on the second pick, where I believe they got it last time. I guess they just have a specific plan in mind that they need this Genos banned for.
Yeah, I wonder what the way the draft will sort of filter its way through here for Shattered Desert. It's such an interesting map, I think, to kind of follow the way these fights go, sort of these big roundabout team fights. Almost team deathmatchy there for a little while, obviously more calculated than that. But interesting nonetheless. I think this is a map where teams can bring a very specific play style in that they want to make work, and the other team can bring what they want in to try to make work, and just kind of gritty war of attrition type things to see who ends up taking the win. And Nara locked in here, and for a map, I'm not going to say it's open, but where the point is just absorbing so much damage, and Nara is a great start here for mixalazeub.
Yeah, definitely to me says they want to hold a little bit further back because Inara can't really rotate to help their backline, so they're going to need a comp that can withstand maybe flank pressure if they go that way from Interstellar. And Ashe, as a start, I think, can absolutely do that. She can dive onto that back, and mixalazeub are going to need an answer that can sustain through that damage. I'd actually love to see some slug shot come out from that Ashe if they run it, because then you could just play really far in the back and make them burn resources because they're just getting poked for 400 every second, probably with Cauterize too. And still, I think Ashe, great pick for this map, but mixalazeub answer with a Ruckus who can kind of put out that same amount of pressure, just has to commit his life for it.
I like the Androxus being locked in here. The one saving grace really of that Jaguar Falls game was what was it, 27 I think was the final
27 and 10.
27 and 10, absurd there for mixalazeub. So I at least like it. Get some good damage on your side. Keep things moving forward in that way. So a good draft to start off for mixalazeub so far here. Terminus has been banned out a couple games in a row here, and we've seen him when he hasn't been banned out. So you talk about absorbing good pressure. Yeah, Nara can do it on one side. Terminus able to do it on the other.
The Term, I think, definitely is the second best point tank right after Inara. I think maybe up there with Aegis Nando, but Term can absorb an infinite amount of damage, and how can you really argue with that? Cassie, perfect DPS comp, I think, to counteract what's coming from the other side. Inara and Ruckus, neither of them really want to be getting hit with big game.
Right.
And Cassie will most likely be doing that. Tons of damage pouring in. Ruckus will not be as effective with his dives. It's going to come down to, I think, how synced they are, but at the very least, with that Corvus, they're all going to be getting healed across the whole way, like a second cooldown to heal 3 different players and giving them lifesteal and speed. Great, I think, finishing touch to the draft from mixalazeub.
Corvus seeing continued play throughout this phase here in the PPC, not surprising there. How did Interstellar round out this draft? A Grok is how they round out, my goodness, I speak for a living, I swear. Round out this draft with a Grok. So Maldamba, Terminus, Grok, Cassie, Ashe for Interstellar. Interesting composition, Chris.
Grok, conceptually okay. You can poke, you can spread the damage, but Corvus spreads heals, and that comp is going to run you down. Grok doesn't really handle pressure that well unless he has his ultimate.
No.
It depends on how quickly they're going to end the fight. If they start it immediately, if they don't go slow, if they rush in with their double flanks, that Grok is, I think, just going to be a free target.
Well, it is time to find us a winner here in this set. Game number 5 between mixalazeub, who won the first 2, and Intersteller, who won the last 2. Shattered Desert, a very fun map, I think, to round out what has been a very contested set up to this point. A 4-0 in game number 1, 4-3, 4-3, 4-2, went to the next 3. How about game number 5, though? Well, we're going to get right into the action. And it's Davizzy around the back side, finding some good damage. And it's Uber Spady there, but enough healing keeps Enviel alive. And he turns around the damage onto Nauk to get the kill. Fantastic start here for Interstellar. Low is Princess Pecha once more, not able to get the kill on to the Inara just yet. Good disengage there. Not from the Cassie, but from the Inara, rather, to stay alive. And Interstellar bought some space.
I actually loved the dive from Mix, but just the healing round 1 was tough. Devozy, I think, soaked a lot of aggro. Didn't actually get hit that much by the Cassie. Now he's pulling 3 people back. And this is going to open the door for a lot. Look at them running down in main behind him. They trade the kill, but they've retook the point. And everyone on Interstellar is sitting on this low ground.
Enviel has worn many hats today. Point tank, flank, and now direct DPS with this Cassie, making it look good. Final shot over onto Kiesel. 75% on the board spells doom for mixalazeub. They're going to have to back themselves off. Especially with Shattered Desert, it's really this one kind of roundabout side you have to make your way in towards. And Interstellar have already gotten there.
That Grok getting ult that fast was what turned it around. I said he's going to be a free target unless he gets his ult. He got it by the time mixalazeub pushed the second time. That's insane. Grok charges his ult so fast, I didn't think it was going to be that fast in this game. They just denied the damage so much. Grok already at almost 50% right now on the back, but they lose the first with now getting the pick, and Ghostwalk gets forced out as well.
Yeah, it's really been Nauk on this Androxus that's kept mixalazeub in these games. A little bit more of a group effort here on this retake attempt, or defensive attempt, rather. Davizzy playing plenty high there, just to spot out where Interstellar are going to be coming from. But conditional, it seems, really here for mixalazeub. If this Androxus is hitting some shots, setting up some kills, then the defense or the offense stands. If he gets gunned down, doesn't bode quite as well for him. Ghostwalk back inside goes Flash, and now gets shot out of the sky. Bit of a blunder there on the ultimate. Dread Serpent up onto the high ground is going to send Davizzy away from the engagement. Enviel dodge rolls through onto this one. Stays alive. Maybe some final shots onto Kiesel. Flash has himself a double kill so far. Princess Pecha last alive. How many times have we seen this story? Just plenty. And Interstellar back to the cart.
Mix, I think, had a decent idea, but now didn't cancel his accursed arm. He just held it, waiting for the healing to end, I guess, and let himself get chipped slowly all the way down. Not only that, Flash, another Tempest. Spent that, and that was what they needed there. He's bouncing back and forth. If they get low before they do their dive, it's not going to be anywhere near as effective, and now they're a little disconnected. They're worried about their health, and now is trying to make plays alone in the backline. They have to be moving more together. This Corvus has to keep up with his team's healing.
Kiesel has kept one alive. That's Nauk, and Uber Spady stays alive as well. Princess Pecha left alone on the other side of this engagement. And Interstellar has whittled down a good bit of that health bar. 30 seconds left here. Interstellar in a great spot. Another Tempest ready to go here. That may be third in the first 4 minutes of this game. It's absolutely nuts. We'll have a Dread Serpent as well on the backside if need be. Nauk found some good shots over onto the back of Grok. This time around, Uber Spady whirls himself forward. Tempest rips through the front line and mixalazeub. And look at Nauk. Has to throw up the reversal, and down he goes at the hands of Flash. Mather finds a kill as well. Seismic Crash, Hexafire. The defensive utility being used by mixalazeub, and they haven't found much value until they do. Uber Spady, Pecha both find a couple of kills until Davizzy gets rid of Cassie as well. The defense is gritty. It takes a while, but it looks like mixalazeub have done enough to tie up the game.
I think that Tempest was just a little bit too early from Interstellar. I mean, it was funny. He spun in circles around the Androxus there at the very end, made it so Andro couldn't do anything. Need a bug zapper on the side of Mix, but because of that, they didn't have what they really need to counter the dive at the very end. He got caught out because he was still overcommitted with that much time left. They couldn't keep the push going. I think they had to get the picks a little closer so the respawns weren't as impactful in that overtime when they had to keep that cart moving.
Well, not surprising to see a Grok top damage in the game, rather, here on Shattered Desert, and that's right where Flash is, 53k. Trying to be kept up with by Uber Spady, and then a pretty big drop-off from those two, about 15k, to the next damage leaders on the chart here. Morale boost, so you thought you saw a lot of Tempests early on in this game. Just going to get worse unless he left base. Didn't quite get an eye on that. He might have had morale boost right at the onset of the game. At any rate, though, we'll be charging Tempest quickly, is the TLDR of this point here. At 40%, it's going to be up in plenty of time to maybe turn around a mid-fight here. Dabazy gets rid of Mather here, who has to use the reanimate, so a second chance in this fight for Interstellar. Dread Serpent up and over, Uber Spady now both combining for a couple of kills. Enviel pulls back one, but it snays. Assert Dominance does end up dropping down onto the ground, unable to be shot out of the sky this time around, so buying some time for the rest of the team in, but a shoulder bash to fully disengage from the fight. Mixalazeub have won the initial engagement.
Much smarter start from them. They just sat on this high ground around them. Cassie can't shoot everyone at once, so whoever gets shot just takes two, disengages, recommits after they get healed because Corvus outputs so much healing. The fact that they did that meant that they couldn't counter the dive immediately. They couldn't just spend their resources and stop it. The healing wasn't enough, and now this positioning they took afterwards, Hexafire in the back, no one can look at it. Devozy wipes the floor, and Mixalazeub, a completely different look. A great adaptation. That's what'll separate the PPC teams from some of these tier 2 teams. They come in with a plan, doesn't work, they still have it the same draft. Do they think, oh well, let's find a way to make that work? No, they adapt. They make a change instead of forcing the same play, and it's exactly what they need to just wipe Interstellar off the map.
Well, maybe that caters to what we've seen from Mixalazeub over and over and over again. What is it, 4 games now? They've lost the initial mid-fight and then immediately answer back convincingly on the second mid-fight. It's a team that obviously is here to play and knows how to adapt to things that are or are not going their way. We'll see if they can put this one on set point with maybe a successful cap here now, because maybe found a flank around Enviel. There's an Anar on the other side as well. So 5v4 advantage here from Mixalazeub. A Spide up onto Mather. Down goes the Terminus. 3v5 on the defensive end, make it a 2v5 as Flash gets gunned down by Pecha there. The gates have been stormed. Oh, just able to make his way back into base. And down goes Dabazy on the back side. So a small trade back for Enviel to keep things a little bit more contested.
The card still has a little bit of a ways to go, though, so that pick, even if he had gotten that pick on the Damba and it had been a trade instead of just a 1-for-nothing, they're still going to have Devozy back before it really matters. He'll be back in time to engage, so they really need just hold on to the Seismic Crash until their Ruckus gets there. As soon as he's there, walk up, spend it in the top left, and get a free pick. Probably going to be exactly what happens, but they're setting up on the far right side instead to try to maybe just sneak by without getting spotted. And Pecha taking a lot of damage early. This dive is going to be way harder than it needs to because they're taking so long to...
How a Cursed Arm might return the kill over onto Mather, so 1-for-1 trade. Point tank for point tank here. Now gonna find some value elsewhere. Hexafire gonna get Ash backside. Both teams barreling their way towards an engagement here with 20 seconds left now. I think good disengage here from Mixalazeub to regroup.
Yeah, for sure. They need everyone there, I think, if they want to turn it around. Against Intersteller. Kikizel, I like. Heal a person with the marks, spread it around, give everyone a little bit of healing, and taking that chip early is now, that could hurt them a bit, but they're surrounding. This is it. Just catch someone out. Force them to burn utility without spending yours, and then engage, and they're forcing out this Tempest.
Tempest, but a Spite right on into the fire. He goes. Enviel has a couple of kills on the backside. Reanimate being held on to just for the moment and won't get used this time around. Successful push, and Mixalazeub fought their way back from 1-0 down. Now a chance to take the set and stop this reverse sweep.
Androxus now holding back by that Terminus was I think what really stopped it. Maybe they could have spent it to get that 2-2, but if he did it in front of an Andro, he's just dead. You take 2,000 damage immediately after coming up from the res. The rest of his team was dead, had to hold on to it. No real chance for the miracle there. And looking at this, they did spend a lot, but only one spent by Interstellar. Dread Serpent, Reanimate, Assert Dominance, and Scout still there, but only really Dread Serpent and Assert Dominance are these engagement tools. And if they get a good dive off of a Seismic Crash with no resilience, not a single level of resilience on anyone in Interstellar, they could just wipe the floor with them, even with all those ultimates.
That's right. Don't be surprised that Tempest is down. It'll be up even quicker now than maybe ever before. Scout used by Intersteller to start off, so if nothing else, they know where Mix are going to be attacking from here, and it's off to the side. Dread Serpent goes flying. Seismic Crash connects onto 2, slows down Mather here, disengaged, sends Pecha backwards, and gets the kill. The return shot over onto Mather. Is he going to use the reanimate here? Yes, he is. Back behind the statue to avoid a good bit of the damage. Enviel taken low and taken down by K. Kiesel. Now up to the sky he goes, assert dominance to buy a little bit of time here for Interstellar, but there's only 2 members left alive, and it's the tanks. Make it 1, and it's the shoulder bash to buy some time. Not enough. mixalazeub in control.
It's all on Interstellar's Tempest right now. You can't spend it into a Hexafire, and this time that Devozi's buying actually could just end the game in the set right here. Finally, tank mounting by, Tempest comes in. They should dismount to get that speed, but finally gets the boost. I don't know if he can make it.
I don't think they can make their way in there, and they sure can't. mixalazeub, they hold their way in this one. They hold on by the end of it. It goes all 5, but the team that won the first 2 win the last one. mixalazeub start off their phase with a W.
Every cap point matters. If you're just getting a little bit in a fight, even if your team wants to get aggressive, if you don't see an option, stop on the point, cap 6%, then you see the opening, then go. That shows how important it is. They would have touched, they would have maybe had a chance with a Terminus and a Grok on the point, but the little bit of extra cap just kept it in mixalazeub's hands. Great performance, I think, by Devozi and Ubers, both doing great damage-wise, but them just syncing up, going on those targets, and buying time in the backline. This comp, perfect for Shattered Desert, I think, and exactly what they needed to win the set against Interstellar.
Might have the makings of a fun little rivalry here. This was a very contested set, and actually a lot of fun to follow along with, outside of a few missed shots there. I think Nauk on Androxus today put on an absolute masterclass in a lot of these fights. It was Nauk, of course, as you'd expect, and you would hope it would be the Androxus doing a good bit of the damage, but on the back of a 27-10 performance earlier in the set, Nauk has a stellar blockbuster performance, I think, on the Androxus here this time around. The positioning was very on point, and it really helped mixalazeub get over the finish line.
Andro is just a character that can win a game on his own if the player is playing out of his mind. You need a little bit of team help at least, but these teams are good enough to make it work, and when you put a player like Nauk on it, he's going to keep the game under control. You can see mixalazeub, we saw that game 3-2, 2 more games to still be played in the next couple of days, and I think some of those, Clown Fiesta Celestial, Chroma Space Yoinkers, those should both be some close games on the other side of the region.
Yeah, it looks like we're starting off here with Rivalry Day maybe, and then on the other side we're going to head to Brazil here in a moment. Parallax versus Carnage, that's a matchup we saw a handful of times over in Phase 1. So a lot of fun, I think, to follow along. Get some early front runners in a few of these sets. That was Set 1 of Phase 2 of the PPC here in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Brazil on the menu.